Good evening and welcome to the Silicon Valley Entrepreneur, a series of conversations with startup founders and the investors who fund them. I'm Chris Gill, President and CEO of SVASE, the Silicon Valley Association of Startup Entrepreneurs, and tonight I'm delighted to have with us David Epstein, serial entrepreneur, ex-VC, current angel, and currently leading the SVASE Academy Startup Advantage program. So David, welcome.
Hi Chris, thanks for having me.
Not at all. So tell us a little bit about what was the genesis of the Startup Advantage program? How did this come about?
Well, you know, SVASE has been around a long time,
Yep.
and we all know it, and certainly in Silicon Valley it's nice to have one association that is really directed toward the startup community. And as we had conversations, you and I and some others, talking about what was kind of missing in the Valley, is one of these places that kind of bridges the gap between learning and education with entrepreneurial startups and this free form of wanting to do something new and different and enjoy the fruits of Silicon Valley with the money and startup environment. And there was just something missing, and I think that we had an idea of putting that together so that we could serve something new.
Okay. I mean, well, one of the things that hit me, what got us starting talking, was a program that we run where we leveraged off of Max Levchin's comment that it took him 4 startups to get to PayPal, and he went through 4 and they all failed. And I thought, this is nuts. How can you go there? I've always been a great believer in doing stuff for yourself, but actually, if you think about it, that's a huge amount of time wasted, and effort, and money, and everything else. So
yeah, you know, it's funny because here in Silicon Valley, we also one of the things that we do differently here than any place else in the world is that we really are not only tolerant of failures, but we celebrate failures, and we actually use that knowledge base that people gain and entrepreneurs gain from not having done it right the first time to applying that to doing it the second time. I think what you're pointing out is that, yes, that's good, but if you have to do it 6 or 7 times before you get one that works, maybe there's a better way. And this better way is, why don't we learn a little bit about why people have failed before, or maybe create a toolbox for entrepreneurs that have with them that they can create something maybe not right the first time, but righter than it would have been the first time.
Okay, so what's the format and rough topics that are going to be covered in the Academy Startup Advantage program? Well,
as probably everyone who's looking at business learns very quickly, is that there are 3 main parts to any business that have success factors, if you will. And one of them is the market, and one of them is the team, and one of them is the technology. And the technology may not be bits and bytes and transistors. It might be a business model, but that's technology that's put to bear. So what we try to cover in this program is really understanding first that market. What's the problem? What's the value proposition? Really, what does that mean beyond just saying what the product does? What is it that you're really trying to solve?
If I can just stop you there.
Sure.
Why is that? Because, I mean, don't entrepreneurs already know the market when they come? I mean, based upon your experience as a VC and an entrepreneur, haven't you seen that?
Yeah.
Don't they already know this?
Thank you. I've seen many entrepreneurs come in with a solution, and the thing is that they have a solution to a problem that they created in their head, or they saw something that, oh, this would be neat to do, and they have a solution, but they haven't thought about what the problem really is for customers. That is, for somebody who wants to pay for it, because after all, a business has to be something that makes money.
Okay.
And so trying to couch the problem that is being solved in a way that describes a market, that the way it describes a set of customers that will pay for it and are solving this pain point, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
So that they're ready to put out some real hard cash to go and get this solution.
Okay, so that's market, and you were moving on to other areas. Sorry, I didn't.
Team, sure. No, the team is obviously one of these extremely important and sometimes overlooked in the excitement of getting a company started. Companies like to get started with some technologists in a lot of cases in Silicon Valley, and they get together and they kind of come up with a solution to something. We just talked about the problem. But they just figure that, hey, you be the CEO, I'll be the CTO, and we'll go and hire some engineers and get it done. But the problem with that, without thinking through the entire process of starting a business, is that there is so many parts to the business that need more than just the technical expertise. There's the marketing that we were just talking about and how to get to market. There's the operations piece, and there's the oh so important financial piece, which many entrepreneurs, many technologists haven't had the background to understand what needs to go into a financial plan.
And this is certainly something that I see at SVASE, that there are engineering people, which is where most of the entrepreneurs tend to come from, and suddenly they're expected to go from being engineering to a top-notch CEO who understands not only the technology but the business, the market, how to raise venture funding, blah, 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 blah. And with the Max Levchin thing, it only came home to me, this is nuts.
Yeah.
So tell me more about
Yeah,
that.
look, there's, I wish there were supermen around, but there are no supermen around, at least that I have run into. But entrepreneurs sometimes come in believing that they might be the Superman. That is, that they might have not only the experience in doing the technology or doing the business part, but they also understand everything there is to know about raising money and everything there is to know about how do you do search engine optimization? How do you put together an operations plan? How do you do outsourcing? How do you do the market development, business development, maybe finding partners? How do you recruit? How do you bring in a board of directors or advisors? And I can go on with all the things that have to happen. And it never happens with one person or two or three. It happens with a team. And so this is the issue that I really want entrepreneurs to go away with from our program. One of them is understanding what they know, understanding what they don't know, understanding the language of business, and the language being able to talk to even new people they want to hire, but funders, angels, VCs, partners, customers. How do you talk to them in a language that they understand?
Okay. And are you going to be leading and doing the whole thing, or are you bringing guest speakers, or what?
We have some great guest speakers coming along.
Okay.
One of the ways that we like to put this program together is it's a very practical course. You know, one of the things I teach entrepreneurship at University of San Francisco as well myself. So I teach business majors and I teach MBAs and entrepreneurs that like to start there. But there's that academic piece. But really, what the Startup Advantage is bringing is marrying that academic piece with real practical knowledge, and the practical knowledge coming from those entrepreneurs who have done it and succeeded, or have failed a few times before succeeding, or maybe they're still in the process of succeeding. And with that deep background of having been there and done that and wanting to share it. So we have the founders of a couple different companies coming in. We have founders of Caboodle. We have a founder, actually Steve Blank, who's founder of Epiphany, who also does teaching at Stanford and Berkeley.
Oh, that's right.
Coming in.
Yep.
And so we have a number of different people coming in, but we're going to fill the 12 weeks that we have with a number of different. Probably almost every week we'll have some speakers. Okay,
and with these speakers, are they or you giving people? Is it just that they listen to stuff and that's it, or do they have homework? Do they have things they have to do? I mean, what?
Yeah. I wish you didn't have to do anything but just listen, and then all of a sudden you get money and it happens.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's homework, but this is the homework that I tell entrepreneurs they have to do, even without a course, you have to do homework. Homework is, you have to understand what your market is. You have to understand what your solution and your problem and your direction is going to be. And so part of our homework will be to articulate what is the problem that you're solving. Who are you going after? What's the size of your market? We're going to talk about those things. And coming out of this as well, you're going to be putting together a pitch. And the pitch is going to be, pitches are given, of course, people think about pitches for angels or for VCs, but pitches also are for bringing in even people that you're going to hire. You want to pitch to them. You want to bring in people who are going to help you. So advisors or mentors or board members, you're going to pitch it to them. And understanding the subtle differences between how you pitch and what they're interested in and what the audience is interested in that you're developing this for. So homework will be to create a pitch, to create a number of pitches, and to practice those, and to practice standing up in front of us and others and people around and being able to talk about your business. And that's what I want people to leave with, is an understanding how they can pitch, who they need to pitch to, how to get the company started, where to go next, and have a roadmap on how to do that.
Okay, so this is really interesting. So we've got guest speakers who are very knowledgeable people and can share their experiences, but you've also mentioned pitching for mentors and advisors as well as potential investors. Tell me more about that. I know what I see at SVASE, and I know the impact that I see for people who do and don't have that, but I'm interested in what your views are on that.
You're really touching on something that few entrepreneurs actually understand at the beginning, and that is that they know they need a product, they know they need a market, they know they need a team of people to produce it. But what they don't realize is that they need people to help them. And how do you help them? It's through mentorship, and it's through maybe board members, maybe advisors, maybe consultants. And what do you need? How do you need it? And who can help you on the side? One of the things that I do also is I coach CEOs. And this is one of those things where the CEO will come to me and say, you know, I have this somebody in my company that is maybe needs some help, but I can't really go to my board because they're not sure they like this person, but I really believe this person can help, and so how do I deal with this? And you need this advisor, you need this consultant, you need this mentor that you can go to with your innermost thoughts. It's lonely up there when you're the CEO, right? It's lonely up there because you're not sure what you're going to say that might not sound good to a potential investor or even a potential employee. So by having this mentor and an advisor, you can actually go through the sessions and talk about it and just talk about your issues. Many times it's interesting, as an advisor or mentor, all I need to do is get the person to talk and they solve their own problem.
Right.
Of course. But you got to get those mentors. And that's a sell job just as well as getting money or getting employees to work for you. You have to sell the mentors because those people are busy. They are only going to help you if they're interested in the business. They're only going to help you if you yourself as an entrepreneur are somebody that they want to be affiliated with.
I'd like to expand a little bit more on that, because as somebody who started companies and as we got bigger, helped people progress through business, and I was fortunate enough to have a couple of board members on the companies that I did that were mentors to me over an extended period of time, which is to me what mentorship means. Bringing on my staff as the business grew, I thought it was part of my job.
Yeah,
and that's part of my function within a company. How do you do that? How do you get people to be mentors to you when they're not part of your company? When they're completely outside, when they might even be strangers to you.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, you know what? This is one of the beauties about being in Silicon Valley, is that there are many people who have been successful, who have enjoyed starting or helping companies get started over a long period of time, and have become comfortable in either financial way or in a business way, and they want to give back. And many of these people who are out there would love to help and see another company succeed. So there are those people out there. Now, they are going to be interested in certain market areas or certain technologies. They're going to be experts. They're going to have very large Rolodexes or iPads with Rolodexes on them. And they'll be able to network, and they really understand that they have an interest not only in helping entrepreneurs get started, but they have an interest in helping either the technology or the business continue and have more innovation and have more changes to it. And so they're out there. All you have to do is find them.
All you have to do is
All
find
you have to do is find them.
Okay.
So here we are
Okay.
to help you find.
And that's going to be covered during this course.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's terrific, because certainly at SVASE I've seen a huge difference between entrepreneurs who can attract mentors, particularly those who could potentially be investors later down the road. The probability of success is increased hugely if you can do that. And I don't know what your experience has been as a VC or angel previously.
Oh, I think that when you find an entrepreneur that really kind of gets it, that is, that understands not only their technology, but their business, their competitors, they really understand kind of where they're going and how they're going to put something together. If they really have kind of a breadth of knowledge about how a company gets started, I can always point to the mentor that's helping them, or to a set of mentors or advisors that are helping them. Because I kind of talked about, there's no Superman that knows all of it. So the only way that an entrepreneur comes in sure of themselves, unless they've been doing exactly the same thing that they were doing, that they're going to start up, which is almost never happens, then they've already attracted some people around it. That's from a VC standpoint.
Right. Okay.
As an angel, you see a lot of raw startups that need the help of mentors, and that sometimes comes by seeing a lot of angels, and one of the angels gets interested in helping them as a mentor, and probably, if you're to ask me, that's more important than the dollars that they're going to put in.
You know, there was a recent article on that. Somebody's done some research that entrepreneurs who've had angel investing are 30 to 50% more likely to be successful than those that haven't, purely because of that mentoring.
Yeah. Yeah,
interesting.
That's I'm sure that's very true. You know, those entrepreneurs who come in and say, Chris, I really like you. I'd really like you to invest in my company. I don't think you're going to help me very much in it, but I just need your money. You write me a check for $100,000, and I won't bother you again. Those entrepreneurs are not likely to make it, because they're the ones that are looking just to confirm their own ideas and just put their own ideas on the paper. And, you know, I'm sure there's 1 in a million that works for, but if you're playing the lottery, I think I'd rather have an 80% chance than a 1% chance.
Okay, so talking about that, it's a nice segue here. So what sort of entrepreneurs do you anticipate would benefit from coming onto this course? Would they be first timers? Would they be experienced? Would they be just at the idea stage? Would they have a product? Where would they, what's the spectrum that they would be at?
Yes.
Okay, tell me a little bit more than yes.
You know, entrepreneurs come in all flavors. There is no one characteristic that you can say these are entrepreneurs and these aren't entrepreneurs. There's no one way to start a company. And you know, I always smile by reading books that are saying, here's the answer, here's how you start a company. Because those are written by somebody who started a company that way, but I guarantee you, if you try to follow that recipe, it won't come out the same, because there's never two sets of ingredients that are the same. So who are the entrepreneurs that come? They may be fresh out of school. In fact, they might be dropouts out of school. Many are who start companies. They could be executives who've been working in big companies for 12 years and see that it's not operating the way that they really want to operate, and they want to get out there and start a new company. It could be people who have gone back for MBAs and kind of are just looking to do something new. So I think that there's not really a good characteristic that I can say that makes up an entrepreneur, but it's somebody who is anxious and passionate to get something new started, to take an innovative idea and apply it and make some money out of it.
Okay, and as it's one evening per week for 12 weeks, you can still be at work.
Oh yeah.
And do it as well as a committed full-time entrepreneur working on your startup.
Yeah, in fact, I like that, the method. If you want to start a company, I really recommend keep your day job for a while you try to go figure out the company that you're gonna start. Now you got to be careful. Don't stay in the same job that you're trying to compete with, because you're going to run into some intellectual property problems. But working on a market understanding, working on the problem, working on a technology, working on a prototype, developing a business plan, and I don't want to scare people away that, oh my God, I have to develop a business plan. But the components of a business plan have to happen. That is, you have to have what we were just talking about, a problem, a solution, a market, a team, and that kind of stuff. So all the pieces that go into a business plan have to be developed. Doing that in the evenings and in weekends is the right thing to do while you're still bringing in the bacon during a day. Because then you're not worried, you're not under pressure about that. What you're really trying to do is come up with the elements that are going to make your startup have a higher probability of success. Do that in the evenings, come to this class once a week, then it'll give you some context in which to build your business plan and your business thoughts before you go off and start.
Okay, so I've done things like scuba diving and racing motorcycles and stuff like that, and for all of those I had to go through something not dissimilar to this, that was some desk work, some schooling to understand what were the issues involved, doing something with a mentor or coach to help me understand how to do it. And then at the end of it, I had some very specific takeaways from it. So with the scuba diving, I was trained to a point where hopefully I wouldn't die if I scuba dived. And on the motorcycling front, I could get myself around a racetrack, again, without killing myself. So what should an entrepreneur expect at the end of going through this course that they should have as a takeaway from it?
Some of the things that I kind of have alluded to here is, first, you'll have an understanding of the language of business. And I suspect many of our entrepreneurs that are coming to the class will have an idea of the technology that they want to exploit. But they won't have that ability to describe their business to others, all the constituents we just talked about, in a manner that it's going to be well understood and well received. That is that, yeah, I really like what I'm hearing.
Right.
So the takeaway is going to be perhaps a roadmap, a business plan, a pitch, things that you can take and say, I now know how to find my mentor. I now know how to find an angel investor or a VC. I now know how to find my teammates that are going to make this thing happen. And as we've got Steve Blank coming into it, presumably it also involved customers and getting product market fit. Yes, yeah. Steve has created. He's quite innovative in the way he's teaching now. In his courses that he's doing over at Stanford, which is one of these where you continue to develop the idea such that you know that there's customers on the other end, and he'll describe that in detail. But it's a wonderful thought process. Really going, when you start a company, to know that you actually have something. As VCs like to say, do you have dog food that the dogs are going to eat? Yep. Right. So that development is maybe it'll help during these 12 weeks to figure out whether you do have the dog food or whether you have to make it cat food instead.
So that comes into the thing about pivoting, which the term that Steve has coined on that. But I see it happen very frequently, and in fact, there's been some research on it that more than 80% of the companies that exit have a completely different product than the product they originally funded with. Do you want to just take a few minutes to talk about it? Because we are running out of time, actually.
Yeah, well, there's the thing is that that's exactly what, and I've been through many startups myself, and for sure, what we started out with, by the time we get to market, has changed and gone through a number of evolutionary changes. Gee, wouldn't it be nice if we could go through some of those generations before we actually started the company? It would be a lot cheaper, and you'll get closer. Will it be right? Nah, it'll be closer though.
So that's why you're advocating coming on the course, doing the stuff in the evening work, doing the homework, because you can get some of those iterations done quickly.
That's it.
Before you commit.
That's it. And know how to evaluate those iterations.
That's hugely important. That's hugely important. We've got 1 minute left, unfortunately. So a couple of last comments about entrepreneurs who are watching the show. What can they do to improve their chances of success?
Well, it's doing your homework, and not necessarily for a course. It's doing your homework. That is, really understand the market, really understand the solution, understand that you're in business to make money, and you got to figure out who's going to pay to use your service or product.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Sounds all very simple and straightforward, but I'm well aware that it's not. David, thank you very much indeed for coming along tonight. Much appreciated, and I wish you success with the course.
Yes, thank you very much.
It's a good night from me, Chris Gill, and I look forward to seeing you all again next month. So.